All right, no more blood for oil.
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 Come on, Bob, Witanek. This obsession of Trump with Venezuela goes back a few years. And some of the people here know that because we were here back in Trump administration 1. We organized 2 buses over 3 weeks to Washington, D.C. We had Venezuela Contras kicking my sound system just like that one. 20 feet. We almost got into fisticuffs with this guy as we arrived at one of the protests. Trump's obsession with Venezuela. We know it's about oil. We know it's about Israel and Iran, Russia, and Chinese relations with Venezuela. We know it's about that. We know it's about Rubio and right-wingers, the right-wing ex-patriots who reside here and still have relations with their king back home to maintain these nations where 2% of the population got like 60% of the wealth coming in the pocket, and they keep all the people down, and the U.S. troops always still about Rubio's campaign to eliminate the leftist Latin America. It's about all that. But I think it's probably got at least one other thing. I think the billionaires, they're a bunch of gangsters. Every billionaire will got the best golf buddies broke. It's going to advance their financial position, and it's going to improve their power. So billionaires, while they are united against us as people who fight back, whereas united on keeping the working class and oppressed people super oppressed. We all know that. But there's also gangsterism between the billionaires. There's like different factions have different priorities. I believe Trump's faction of the billionaire gangsters, he has some pals who have an obsession with Venezuela. Because none of the pretexts then and none of the pretexts now make any sense. They tried to install Guaido, who self-announced himself as president, never have gotten a single vote for anything. And that they were saying because he wasn't seated, that was somehow counter to democracy. That was BS. We fought it. We were outside the Venezuelan embassy for weeks as the CIA aided Venezuelan Contras taking over the embassy. It was a heroic defense of Venezuela outside that embassy, and many of us went to D.C. I went there 3 or 4 times during that period. And we were facing down the most fierce bunch of gangsters from Venezuela across the street who were savagely looking at us and hoping that someday they'll get to kill us or the people we support in Venezuela. So that was then, this is now. The pretexts are ridiculous. And we know, so there's probably some just gangster friendship. But we have to look at this also. The killings of the fishermen and the boaters, in addition to being a harassment and a stepping up to a war with Venezuela, there's another purpose of those killings. Demonstration killings. This government, this Trump administration, is showing us that they can kill with impunity, like he said. They can kill someone on whatever he said. You can kill someone in Central Park, whatever, and everyone will still kiss his butt. Basically, what he says. He's showing us now, and he has bragged about killing those people, just like the president bragged about when he called the second shot. He was originally bragging about it, then denying it. We know, but the first killing. Now let me tell you how this process works of putting these votes on a kill list, because it's very similar to the process of rounding up immigrants and immigrant supporters, and very similar to the process being planned for National Security Presidential Memorandum 7, which If you have a disagreement with the MAGA on 10 topics, you can be placed on a domestic terrorist list. The same exact thing is happening to these votes. What it is, AI predictive technology. So they got all this surveillance of the coast of Colombia and Venezuela. And if they vote, fits a certain profile in a certain area and is behaving in a certain way, that data gets sent up, analyzed by the Palantir-like written software, runs it through AI, and creates a probability that that vote might be a drug book. No evidence whatsoever. No proof that their probability methods were ever even valid to begin with. They made it up. They say these kind of votes in this kind of area has like 60%, whatever. So if that vote ends up on the list, it gets sent and the Pentagon decides whether to shoot it down. Exactly like what's happening with the immigrants. Exactly. The data collected from everywhere. You know, they scanned all the government documents, all the internet, all the protests, all the pictures. This grading is being sent in a similar kind of software, different parameters, looking for different things, and it's creating a list. These are likely violators of some immigrant law, or they might have an immigrant here. They might be valid immigrants, but they came across a violation on a traffic violation or a marijuana violation years ago. Something you can pretext going after. And the lists are printed off of suspected people around the same exact way National Security Presidential Memo 7. 10 things you disagree with MAGA. Anti-capitalist, anti-Christian, I forgot what the other. What's that? The three extremists on race, immigration, or gender. If you criticize so-called traditional American values on family, religion, or morals, and the 10th one, if you believe that we can only survive by replacing this corrupt dynasty that's over us. So I can check all 10 boxes. Most of us here probably can, at least 8 or 10 or 9, whatever. So we're all on that list. So the same software is going to be used to put us on the list. Now, the Trump administration also, in addition to sending, these ICE in like makeshift uniforms, yes, that they just got that day, running around, dragging people off the street. They're also hiring bounty agencies. Like there's like a whole bunch of bounty agencies, and they're getting the list. The same list being cranked out by Palantir. So it's the same mechanism. Demonstration killings. If we expect not just the double tap. The first tap was just as illegal, based on a January 20th memorandum declaring cartels as terrorists and subject to interference. Written just like National Security Presidential Memorandum 7 declares domestic terrorists as being subject to interference. And interference could be military or police. So like there's these cases, if they put you up on the list, they look at you, they're going to try to make cases, like the case they made out of the so-called Turtle Island liberation. That's part of this whole thing. All of us, anytime we get picked up, we're on that list. They're going to try to make a charge against us. And they're going to try to put us away. This is what we're looking at. And he is saying he will use the same kind of military force. Bondi has said that at the Antifa meeting, at the ground table. The same force used against the Venezuelan folks will be used against the domestic terrorists at Antifa. Okay? So I'm not making it all up. It's really happening. It's the same thing. So we have to really take observation. And I would suggest that we reform, hands off Venezuela, New Jersey, what we had going in the last time Trump tried to do this. Number two, I would suggest that we talk it over with each other and we come back with maybe even a week. And we possibly do this Venezuela protest with more organizing, maybe on a warmer day, and see if we can do it at a bigger turnout. And it could be about some other issues. But we're trying to reconvene this anti-Venezuela plus anti-everything else kind of sentiment at least one more time on very short order, especially if there's another escalation. Because this was a drone attack. We don't know what the next escalation is. We should be prepared to react to that, but we might want to put something on the calendar. That's my suggestion. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity.
Adam.